Om Shanti, everyone. Welcome to those of you who are here live. Thank you for being here. And also greetings to those of you tuning in later on through the recording. We're still in the month of January, and you'll recall we've had a series of Murlis based around 18th January, based around Brahma Baba, his stage, his efforts. So we're just continuing on that theme today. You'll recall that last week we read the Murli of the 21st of January, 1969, which was immediately after Brahma Baba's funeral. And Shiv Baba decided to just come on his own because everyone was naturally emotional that day. And so he was talking to everyone about their faith, that they have to become unshakable because ultimately our commitment is to Shiv Baba, and Shiv Baba is imperishable. Now, even the great characters like Brahma Baba and Mama and other daddies, they come and go. But who is the permanent strength in our lives? It's Shiv Baba. So Shiv Baba coming and reminding everyone that he's there. He's going to be with us. It's not that human beings can be with us all the time. Having said that, he also decided to keep Brahma Baba in the subtle region. So rather than Brahma Baba going and taking another birth, he had Brahma Baba stay in the subtle region so that he can help us out as well. And then Shiv Baba was also setting up some of the systems that we follow now, like the daily repeating of the Murlis. Shiv Baba was saying, you probably don't even remember yesterday's Murli. Never mind Murlis from years ago. So it's worth revising them, repeating them, going into the depths of them. And then things like visiting Madhuban, all of those things. It's sometimes useful to see that it was Shiv Baba himself that started all these things. And then the week before then, we had read the Murli of the 23rd of January, so just 2 days later. At that time, Brahma Baba himself came on his own. And it was all very new, Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba coming into the body of Daddy Gulzar. People were not used to this. And I think some people, they sort of wanted a little bit of convincing that Brahma Baba is still there. And so Brahma Baba coming on his own, Shiv Baba coming on his own, I think this was all part of sort of reassuring all the Brahmins. And in that Murli, you might remember, Baba was talking about how brothers and sisters were deciding what to do with Brahma Baba's ashes, because they didn't want to just throw them in a river. And so Baba was saying that as you think about the ashes, don't just think about ashes, but think about the stage. What was that stage of Brahma? And I was mentioning in that class that Delhi Janki told us that half the ashes are under the Tower of Peace and half are under the translite of Baba in Baba's room in Pandav Bhavan. So we're sort of continuing in that flow of that week. Oh yes, and I'm sure many of you have tuned into the playlist we also put up of the different trance messages that Daddy Gulzar was bringing back during that time, because people were in a confusion. So I think she was going up to the subtle region very frequently and bringing back different messages and different insights. So we're in the flow of that week. And I'm going to hand over to Ranjan Ben to take us through a Murli, which I think is the 2nd of February, 1969, on the theme of all of us focusing now on creating our own angelic stage.
Om Shanti. Good morning to all. Om Shanti.
So Baba did mention that how the children were complaining, about Rama Baba becoming Avyakt without telling us, without taking a leave. And Baba gave all the answers. I'm sure you heard those messages. And in that, after that, Baba said, Baba is now saying that those who had Avyakti, angelic stage, were able to understand and catch everything. But those who didn't practice that much, didn't have that stage, shook. Remember, Baba said, you need to remain unshakable no matter what happens. And so, Baba, this is the Murli, then Baba Avyakt Bapdada, 2nd of February, 1969. The method for experiencing the Avyakt meeting. All of you are the embodiment of love, are you not? Love that is based on knowledge is real love. The sweetness of your love even pulls Bap Dada here. One desire is visible within the hearts of all the children. What is that? Many children have sent a message that Baba should give them the experience of his subtle region. The time to fulfill this desire of all the children has now come. Would you say that all of you will become trance messengers? Baba said, no. Children will have the experience of the subtle region, but on the basis of a divine intellect. The alokik experience you have now will be all the more beneficial, alokik and unique, when it is based on a divine intellect. And so all the children who have a desire to meet Avyakt Bapdada can do so. How can you do that? The method for this is simply to sit in remembrance at Amrit Vela and have the thought that you are now going to have a meeting with Avyakt Bapdada. Just as when you knew the time for meeting Sakar Baba beforehand, you never used to feel sleepy. Instead, your intellect would keep that awareness before the meeting. In the same way, if you want to have the experience of an Avyakt meeting, a very easy method for this is to become stable in the Avyakt stage and have a heart-to-heart conversation. You will then experience as though you are truly talking to the Father. And in this heart-to-heart conversation, just as the trance messengers are shown some scenes, in the same way, you will have the experience of deep, entertaining, significant aspects through the yoga of the intellect. But one thing is essential in order to have this experience. What is that? Do you know? Bapdada is asking, do you know the essential thing? Only those who are stable in the Avyakt stage and introverted throughout the day will be able to remain stable in the Avyakt stage at Amrit Vela. Only they will be able to have this experience at Amrit Vela. If you have love and the desire to meet Bapdada, this is a very easy method. Those who want to do it can do it and can attain the experience of a unique meeting. The sounds from the hearts of some children reach Bapa whilst he is sitting in the subtle region. You must be thinking that Shiv Baba is very hard, but whatever happens is beneficial and significant. This is why on hearing the sound that reaches here, I smile. That is Shiv Baba smiles, Bapdada smile. When they hear children complaining or saying Shiv Baba is hard. Is Bapdada free from attachment? Are all of you children free from attachment? Have you become free from attachment? How can there be a meeting if Bapdada is free from attachment and the children have pure attachment? Does Bapdada have pure attachment? So somebody must have said it's in the brackets. Sakar Baba had pure love for the children. Does Shiv Baba not have it? Does Bapdada have it? It is not the same as ours. Some children answered, it is not the same as ours. Mine means the children have more pure attachment. Bapdada has even greater pure attachment than the children have. But there is a difference between Bapdada and the children. When children have pure attachment, they become the embodiment of it. They either become loving or they become detached. But Bapdada is both loving and detached at the same time. When this difference that remains is finished, what will you become? Introverted, Avyakt, and Alokik. Now there is still some feeling of being Lokik that gets mixed in. But when you remove this difference, you will be seen as the Alokik and angelic subtle angels. You can become angels even while staying in this corporeal world. You may then say, why did you go and become an angel in the subtle region? Bapdada said, you can become angels even while staying in this corporeal world. Then Bapdada says, but the children say, you may then say, why did you go and become an angel in the subtle region? You could have become here. Then Bapdada says, but no. Whatever is the task of the children suits the children best. Whatever is the father's task is done by the father. Children now have to reveal the results of their study to others. Does a teacher not have to reveal the study? A teacher has to teach the study, and the students have to reveal their study. It is the Shaktis and Pandavas that have to be put into a showcase. Bapdada is incognito anyway. There is the thought in everyone's heart that the scenes of the drama should now pass and the drama should come to an end very quickly. But will it move fast? Is this possible? Will it? Is it possible? Whatever is destined will remain destined. But this much is visible in the predestined destiny. If there is the thought like a kalpa ago, then together with the thought, you must definitely have made fast efforts. And therefore, there is also the thought that we should complete the scenes of the drama very fast and become residents of the subtle region. You definitely have to become that. But do you children have so much power that you are able to pull the subtle region into the corporeal world? Can you create a map of the subtle region in the corporeal world? Each one of you has many desires. All of these reach Bapdada. Just as there is a very big telegraph and telephone office in the corporeal world, in the same way, the telegrams of pure thoughts reach Bapdada in the subtle region. What has to be done now? Some children even ask questions for the welfare of others. Some children become confused because they were told through Sakar Baba that the subtle region does not exist. So where has Baba gone? From where does he come to meet us? Where are the messages sent to? Why is Bhog offered? There is significance in this also. Where and why did he go? The main reason for this is that, as all of you must have seen, when little children like something very much and they chase after it, even though it is a very good thing, when they like it beyond limits and they chase after it, what are they then told? That thing is hidden from their vision, and they are told that it does not exist. They are told this so that the extra love they have for that thing is then put right. In the same way, at present, many children cling to these things. And so, in order to free them from that, they were told by Sakar Baba that the subtle region does not exist. This was told to the children in order to move their intellect away from these things. But this does not mean that when something is hidden away from the children, that thing finishes. No, this is a method to free you from something that you can cling to. This was a method also. If the subtle region does not exist, where do you offer Bhog? Why is this system still maintained? When there was any task about to take place, why did Baba himself also ask for a message? It doesn't mean that the subtle region does not exist. The subtle region does exist, but instead of going to and coming from the subtle region, you now have to become a resident of the subtle region. This is Bap Dada's hope in the children. There shouldn't be a lot of coming and going. This is not accurate. Instead of coming and going to and from the subtle region, You yourself must become a resident of the subtle region. So in what is there an income? Baba observes the income of the children and makes them worthy of earning an income. This is why you have been told everything of significance. So do you now understand why you were told this and what it actually is? Experience the subtle experiences of the subtle region. Experience the subtle stage. The desire for coming and going is temporary. Instead of this temporary desire, why do you not constantly make yourself a resident of the subtle region? You will have many wonderful experiences by being a resident of the subtle region. And you yourself will say that there is such a lot of difference between this experience and the experiences of the trance messengers. Theirs is not an income. Yours is an income and also an experience. So, is it better to attain two things at once, or do you still have the desire for only one thing? Some children even have this question in their mind. Bap Dada used to say that he will take all the children with him. But now he has gone away. But has Baba gone away? He cannot go to the land of liberation without the wedding procession and the children. Can Baba go alone without the wedding procession? Is the wedding procession ready? Until now, you have only heard that he will go with the wedding procession. The wedding procession is now getting ready. And so how can Baba go alone? Now the task of establishment will continue from the subtle region in a subtle form. Until the task of establishment is complete, Baba will not return home without having attained success in the task. Baba will go with you, and then what will he do afterwards? Do you know what he will do? He will go with you and stay there with you and then come into the world with you. Children have a song that they will never let go of the hand and the company. This is the children's promise as well as the father's promise. Baba cannot break this promise. Are there any more questions? In fact, as time goes by, everything will be clarified. Some children even have the question in their mind whether Baba will take another birth. Will he take another birth? Will he take a birth like your mama did? What does the reasoning of your mind say? Means what your conscience, what does your conscience say? Can you see the destiny of the drama? Can you see it even slightly? Since all of you say to everyone that you are the children of the Father who knows the three aspects of time, Can you not see what is in the future? Baba gives us the title, Trikaldarshi, knower of the three aspects of time. And so Baba says, can you not see what is the future? What is in the future? What should happen according to the reasoning, that is conscience, of your mind? Become stable in the Avyakt stage and say yes or no. And you will get the answer. So Baba is teaching us to practice it right now while he's speaking. So, and see what the answer is. Become stable in the Avyakt stage and say yes or no, and you will get the answer. So in bracket it says, in this way, Bapdada asked 3 or 4 people. The majority thought that Baba would not take another birth. Do you want a reply today or later? Bapdada asked everybody. Do you want a reply today or later? There isn't any upheaval, is there? This is also a game that is created. Little children throw stones in a pond and play with the ripples. And so this is also a game. Baba is throwing stones in the form of questions into the churning of you children and is creating ripples in the ocean of your intellect. Bapdada is watching the game of these ripples. Now together with all of you, Baba will be engaged in the task of establishment in the Avyakt form. Whilst there is the part of establishment, Baba is with you in the Avyakt form. Have you understood? Baba also projected Mama into the subtle region. Do you know what conversation took place? Just as in the corporeal world, in the corporeal form, Mama used to tell Baba to remain sitting and they would finish all the work in the same way. She said the same thing in the subtle region. We will do all the work that remains for the establishment. You must simply continue to entertain the children. She used to say this in the corporeal form also. That same heart-to-heart conversation took place in the subtle region. There must be this question in the minds of all of you. Where has our Mama gone? It is not the time for this secret to be revealed. You will be told after some time where she is and what she's doing. She is a helper in the task of establishment, but with a different name and form. Acha, it is now time to go. Today, in the subtle region, there was a fragrance from a distance from the early morning. Baba was seeing how the things were being prepared with a lot of love. Did you see it? Did you tour around the Bandara? That is kitchen. So it probably was a Thursday, Bhog. It wasn't the fragrance of the food, but it was the fragrance of love. This love becomes eternal. Your love is eternal, isn't it? Everyone's remembrance reaches here, but a certain stage is needed in order to receive the response. So today's Murli, Baba asked, about the remembrance. Baba asked about our wishes. Baba in the, being merged in love, lovely stage. Baba talked about Baba's love. So Baba, this is also Baba is asking, your love is eternal, isn't it? Everyone's remembrance reaches here, but a certain stage is needed in order to receive the response. You receive an instant response, just as when Baba was in the corporeal form. And when children used to say Baba, they instantly received a response. So even now, you receive a response instantly. But in between, you have to let go of the corporeal form. And then you will be able to hear the response. Now there is the experience of doing even more service in all 4 directions. Now, because of being Avyakt, one quality has increased. Do you know what that is? Have you guessed? Did you guess what the answer might be? Bap Dada says, previously, Baba used to know of the external things only. Now he knows of the things inside everyone also. In the Avyakt stage, there is no need to know anything. Everyone's chart is automatically visible within a second. This is why it is said that one virtue has increased from before. In the Avyakt stage, the stomach is filled simply by having the fragrance. Acha. Today, one main advice is being given to the children. You have to do service anyway. This aim is in the intellects of all the children. And you will definitely fulfill that aim. But in that aim being fulfilled, there will be an obstacle in between. Do you know what that is? What is the main obstacle that creates an obstruction in service? It doesn't come to everyone, but to the majority of you. Baba is telling you of that obstacle beforehand. Always pay attention whilst doing service to the thought. I did this, only I can do this. To have this consciousness of I is called the arrogance of knowledge, the arrogance of intellect, and the arrogance of service. As you go further, there will be obstacles in these forms. Therefore, from the beginning, do not let this main obstacle come. So constantly remember one term. I am an instrument. Only by being an instrument can you maintain a stage of being incorporeal, egoless, humble, and free from waste thoughts. If there is the thought that I did this, if there is I, do you know what will then happen? Just as by being an instrument, you are able to create a stage of being incorporeal, egoless, and free from waste thought in the same way. When there is the feeling of I, there will be arrogance, the feeling of wilting and depression. What will the result of that be? The result of that would finally be that you die even though you are alive. This is why always keep this main teaching with you. I am an instrument. By being an instrument, there won't be any arrogance. Otherwise, if there is the feeling of I, you will come into the spinning of differences of opinion. This is why, in order to free from this spinning, remember the discuss of self-realization. Because just as you become a Maharati, means a brave charioteer of your body, Maharati, only like elephant riders, they have a lot of courage and they are brave to mount an elephant and guide it. So this is what Baba says, because just as you become a Maharati, Maya will also come to you in a Maharati form. You know, Baba also often says Maya is no less, she is also omnipresent and also almighty. She is very courageous. So Baba says, because just as you become a Maharati, Maya will also come to you in a Maharati form. Baba, in the Sakar form, showed you by performing actions till the very end. What actions did he show you? Do you remember? What teachings were you given? To be incorporeal and humble and to relate to one another with love, create a gathering of mothers. Just as the training classes for the Kumaris have been created, in the same way, create a gathering in Madhuban of the mothers who can become helpers and who are helpers. There should be a gathering of mothers along with the gathering of Kumaris. Baba has to come at the time a gathering takes place. Seeing the love, you remember the drama. When the drama comes in between, you become silent. What would be the state if you were affected by the love? A river would be created, but no drama. Whatever actions I perform, everyone else will perform the same. This is why you become silent. In everyone were to be together, if everyone were to be together, then the experience of Baba's karmatic stage according to the drama would have been something else. But it was destined to be like this. And this is why there were very few in front of Baba at the final moment. Even though they were in front of Baba, it was as if they were not in front of Baba. Baba has love even while he is in the subtle region, and he will continue to have love. It is imperishable. But you heard how the drama takes your love into silence, and this silence brings power. We will meet again in the corporeal form there, means in the golden age. We are now meeting in the Avyakt form, and then we will meet in the corporeal form in Satyug, golden age. You are able to remember that scene, are you not? We will play, go to school, and meet one another. You, the light of the eyes, continue to see the scenes of Satyug in the subtle region. Whatever the father sees, the children also see that and will continue to see it. Baba yesterday mentioned about the having visions. So you now have to become the form of volcano. The form of the volcano is your memorial. Do you know who the goddess of the volcano is? All you Shaktis have to become the goddesses who are like the volcano. You have to ignite such a fire in which the iron-aged world burns away. Acha Om Shanti. So the goddess of volcano is Jwalamukhi, Jwalamukhi Devi. And one thing when Baba said about the promises that we will go together, that we can see the picture of the Kalpa tree. And so Brahma Baba hasn't gone actually, because he's still standing, waiting for us, like spreading the arms to embrace us, all angels. And he's in the form at the moment of a commander-in-chief. He's waiting for all his army to be ready, become angels, and to go. And so we can, and one of the messages Baba showed 5 exits. I can't remember which one, from 5th or 6th, but you can in your playlist, and there are some, even nobody can get out, even Brahma Baba cannot, he's still waiting for us to be ready. And so Baba is waiting at the top of the tree for us to be ready. So he is in the form of a commander-in-chief. So, we have to be ready. Baba said, then we will go together in a procession and we'll come in Satyug also. So it's our intellect, and we have to become those 3 words: incorporeal, voiceless, and egoless. And that's the stage Baba means to go and become Avyakt angels now, because there's a danger in going into trance, because sometimes Maya, at first a lot of them used to go, and then the Maya really, and they took too long to come down, and it was a bit, as Baba said, there was no income in that. It wasn't significant, but to practice like Baba says is more beneficial for us, and become ready and become angels like Baba, so we can go together. So that's all I can say. Thank you. Thank you for your patience and listening.
Would anyone here with us like to share anything or ask anything?
I think, Shanti, I think I heard Sister mention about self-realization. It's been with the discourse of self-realization and Sadashan Shrikadashi as well. But would you say, Baiji, that self-realization could also be the 5 forms that we practice as well?
Yes, I think self-realization has many, many different layers to it. So there's the self-realization of the identities, as you're saying, which are part of the spinning of the discus. And so Baba says that you are the incorporeal soul, the deity, the worshipper, the idol, the Brahmin, and the angel. And he's very keen that we practice those awarenesses so that we are extracting our self-esteem from the physical identities into these spiritual identities. And then I think that from that, we realize ourselves in so many titles, whether it's God's beloved, whether it's the flower in the garden. We hear so many different titles and images. So I think experiencing all of those is also self-realization. And then the other part of self-realization is what we were speaking about before in the chit chat, before the recording, that we have to realize our own sanskars and our own karmic accounts as well. And we've got to, of course, think of our virtues and then being in self-respect, having a look at our shortcomings in our personality. So the 5 vices through masculine form, through feminine form, or also sanskars of wasteful thinking, sanskars of ordinariness. All of these things are part of self-realization. So I think that Baba is saying to us that you have to be very introspective. That's a key quality that you are going to need. The self-realization then leads us towards self-actualization, where we begin to become the embodiment. So we have to realize first, we have to experience, and then Baba is saying you actually have to become the angel. So Brahma Baba realized early on, and then by practicing and deepening those realizations, eventually he became the angel. And so Baba is saying that to us today. Do you want to give it back?
Thank you.
I think ultimately the powerful stages of self-realization is as we really manifest the angel sitting inside of the soul and the deity, the first birth of the golden age. Both of those identities are recorded in you, the soul. And the time of the drama is taking us towards those 2 identities becoming manifest. So Baba was saying just now in the morning, we'll be having the Avyakt meeting, the angelic meeting now, and then we will meet in the corporeal form in the golden age. So the clock, the hands of the clock of the drama, they're also emerging within the souls, the Brahmin souls, these 2 identities, because it's time to actually live, manifest those identities. So I think those ultimately are the 2 powerful ones of this time.
I also think that Baba, I'm listening to the Murli, is encouraging us to have that subtle meeting, in the subtle region, practice that more. Because as you see, there's no more meetings through Daddy. And so we really have to practice that angelic state. I was thinking, those who came for the Avyakt meetings, like myself in the early days, you could see how things has moved from, one to the other. And I wasn't expecting this kind of sudden shift, but Baba was warning us when you look back at some of the things he was saying. Going from meeting Baba personally, when we went in 81 as a group, you had that one-on-one meeting. That's why it would last all into the next morning, you know? And then it come down to the group meetings and Zoom meetings. So yeah, Baba was preparing us.
And also it is for our own benefit, because as the time, situations, everything is going, as we know, is going to get very challenging, very, and that angelic stage or light will help us for our own safety as well, because people will go so confused, and we know mentally, and so they wouldn't know what they're doing. And it's us, Baba said, that we need to protect ourselves, but at the same time be with Baba and help them, give them Baba's love and powers. The Thursday's message also, Baba pointed out that in the beginning in Karachi, those dadis and dadas and people thought they were very ordinary people, and they were very simple, living simply and looked very simple, but they accumulated lots of powers and made their stage. And so Baba was asking us to do the same, take their example and practice. And this is why Baba is working so hard, giving us that sustenance even from up above. Now Baba said that he doesn't have to worry about corporeal body, feeding, bathing. Baba has more time, Baba and daddies, and they can go around quickly. As we have heard for past few weeks, we've been reading all those Murlis. And so, this is for our own benefit. Baba is preparing, because Baba knows at the end there will be a lot of upheaval, lot of problems in the world, lot of earthquakes, all the elements will be in their fierce form. And so we have to be prepared and be ready for that, to pass with honor in those challenges. And that's why we need a practice over a long, long time.
I think Baba is challenging us as well, that can you recreate the meeting with Baba in the corporeal form through your yoga? So he began the Murli saying, wake up at Amrit Veda, and then visualize Baba coming to meet you. And as you develop your yoga, your intellect becomes more clear. You will have more reality in that meeting. And you're saying that's your divine intellect that has to develop. And it's only those that keep introspection through the day. We've been hearing a lot this week about unadulterated remembrance, practice of bodilessness. So this sort of stage then helps us at the next day's Amrit Veda. I shared with you before that Brother Nirvair, he had asked Brahma Baba how he should remember at Amrit Veda. So this is even in the days when Brahma Baba was there. And Brahma Baba had said to him that at Amrit Veda, just visualize the angelic body of Brahma and then Shiv Baba in the forehead coming to meet you. And so there's two lights in the forehead, and just practice that. And so Brother Nirvair says he just practiced that every day, and it continued to become more real. So Baba is saying that as your yoga develops, you'll even be able to then hear a response from Baba. So initially it will start off with you sort of more mechanically practicing. But then as your intellect becomes more divine, you'll actually have more of a two-way experience. So I think this is what Baba is challenging us to do now, that you've relied a lot on corporeal things, but now yoga can give you that same experience if you stick at it. Sister, do you want to come in? I can see you on the screen.
No, brother, it's okay.
Thank you.
Shanti, brother. I wanted to I would like you to elaborate a bit more on being a resident of the subtle region.
I think what Baba is again challenging us all. He's saying that you've become too comfortable in this drama. So he's noticing that we as Brahmins, we remember Baba considering ourselves to be residents of this world. So we are down here and we are comfortable down here. And we're remembering Baba up above. And as long as Brahma and Mama were down here with us, it would never occur to us that we have to go to the subtle region. So what Shiv Baba is saying is that it was in the drama that Mama had to go and play her role. Brahma Baba had to go to the subtle region because it actually awakens a thought inside of the Brahmins that maybe I also should become an angel. Until Brahma had become an angel, Brahmins were not really thinking that I have to become an angel because Brahma himself was down here. So we were all residents of this world. But now that Brahma is a resident of the subtle region, he just was saying, I'm not going to meet you again in a name and form in this world. So if you want to come and be with Bapdada, you're going to have to become a resident of the subtle region. And so we've been hearing this week about, it was last Sunday's Murli, which was the 29th of December 1989, where Shiv Baba was saying that Brahma Baba managed to change karmic bondages into relationships of karma. And he did this by practicing being bodiless while he was in the body, while he was performing actions. So he managed to create a distance between his inner world and the outer world. As human beings, whatever's going on in the drama, it fills our inner world. We think about it, our feelings are affected by it. But as we practice our bodilessness, Baba is saying that you have to become karmatit. And a karmatit soul can perform actions, but not have it absorbed within them. The soul does not absorb the actions and the relations that it's engaged with. So he used this term, nirlipt. So he said that the soul is not nirlep, and that's what they say in Bhakti. The soul is immune to the effect of action. Baba says that's not true. The soul is always being influenced. But now, on the basis of your knowledge and yoga, you have to actually show that it's possible to make yourself immune to the effect of actions, so that your peace, your love, your joy just remains permanent inside of you, undisturbed. And as you live in that reality, that was the reality of Brahma. That is the pathway of shifting from the resident of this world to a resident of the subtle region. Does that answer the question?
For me, the question of being bodiless is something that I keep thinking about. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much because I know that I can be that way unconsciously. But every time I think of doing it consciously, it's like I forget. Can you shed any light on that? Or do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I mean?
Baba teaches us to build in routines. So maybe it's every hour practicing for a few minutes. Certainly morning and evening time when we're sitting in yoga, we should try and dedicate to this practice of bodilessness. And then when we're performing actions, we'll be able to be helped by that practice when we were sitting down. So sometimes what I like to do is I like to imagine myself in the soul world, just with Shiv Baba. And I think in my mind that the drama has never been created. There's no other soul. The only soul that exists is me and Baba, because our thoughts are pulled by relations. So where we are related or connected with someone or something, that pulls us. So Baba was explaining in that Murli Sunday that that bodiless stage is where you are beyond the bondage of your body, of people, of facilities, of roles, and of your nature and sanskars. So it's visualizing yourself as a soul before you came into the drama. When you were innocent, you didn't even know what another soul was. You didn't know anything in this drama. So I like to just remind myself of that and begin to visualize, okay, what was I like before I entered this drama? Because we heard that in the Murli 2 or 3 weeks ago. You have to go back in the same stage that you came down in.
Mhm.
And when we were originally in the soul world, we knew no one. The soul doesn't have any relationships. The only one we're aware of is Shiv Baba. So Baba says your eternal relationship is just with Shiv Baba. Every other soul you've come into interaction with down here. And so those relationships are temporary. And as a bodiless soul, you know no one, you know nothing, you have no past, you have no future. You are just being you as an embodiment of peace, purity, love, and power. And there's nothing to add to that. And so it's this sort of training of our mind that we've got to do. And if we can hold it initially for a few seconds, let's try. And then we try and extend that concentration. But I think it's just continually then feeling that. And so being in the soul world, that unlimited expanse of light, like an astronaut going into space here, they describe this just silence. And you're so far from Earth's gravity that everything in this world seems pointless, like it's insignificant, because you're in that unlimitedness. So bodilessness is about becoming unlimited. That I'm no longer in the cage of the body and my current role in the drama, but I'm stepping into an unlimited self, into an unlimited expanse of silence with my Father of the unlimited. And so I'm coming out of the constraints of the body, of relations, of possessions, of roles, and the nature and sanskars.
I think that you phrased it so well, because I can visualize things much more easily than thinking about them. So it's the intellect that gets in the way. So you've made it quite easy. I can understand that. I can do that. Thank you. I'm Shanti.
I think while we're in the body, we will always be thinking. So Baba's expecting us to sort of, you can either, I often like to put on a commentary and listen to it, or just give yourself your own commentary. And then within that, where you feel you can hold a thought, then stretch it. So we'd have to build our concentration. And then as we begin to feel that concentration, over time, we will feel that we are more separate from the body. So I think it's a process of us feeling that separation. The way Baba put it in last Sunday's Murli was imagine trying to, well, you don't need to imagine, think when you had very tight dresses on, tight clothes on, and then someone tells you, quickly change. And actually just unzipping takes like 15 minutes and you're sort of peeling yourself off. And this is what it's like when we're practicing bodilessness. We have been locked in the identity of these clothes for so long. And suddenly someone is saying, take them off. And we feel naked, so we feel exposed and afraid. So the instinct of the intellect is to hang on. And so you feel resistance because the intellect is afraid of letting go. What do you mean? My whole identity is based on these clothes. And suddenly you're saying, well, now let's become something else. Let's become naked. And the intellect won't like that. So you will find resistance, but we've got to be engaged in gentle persistence.
It makes sense. Definitely feeling, because it's quite natural for me to feel. You know, much easier than to think. So yeah, thanks.
Okay. Would anyone else like to make any comments?
Brother Shailen, I just have a question, and it may not make any sense, but you know, you have the Webb telescope that's out there in space, and you have the scientists going above the Earth and beyond. Do you think that they would ever be able one day to see that Brahm element?
No.
No, okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think what Baba is telling us is that this world of the elements of nature, it's also unending. Space is unending. And so what Baba talks about is, I think it is interesting, and I want to be cautious because really we could do with someone who knows more about physics than me in this chat, and then we could have a proper conversation with them. But my understanding is that the further you're moving away from like gravity, there's no such thing as time and space. That's my understanding. Like, there's no time. So the further you're away, I think that was the theory of relativity that's so famous from Einstein. It's gravity that creates time. So as we move above that gravity, so as an astronaut moves further into space, they're moving away from the concept of time and change and also placing. So where am I? If I'm in the unlimited space, where am I? I don't have coordinates. There's no space. There's no time. And so what Baba is saying is that in this case, as you leave this physical gravity of the body and you're separating soul and body, then the soul also has like its own separate universe, which is the element of Brahm. And that also is an expanse which is unending. And what Baba says is that that world has no time and space either. It's not that there's a cycle up there. So you're going also beyond. And I think that that is what bodilessness is. We're going beyond this concept of the drama of time and space. And there's the space of the soul, which is the Brahm element. And then there's also the space of the body, which is the space that we know here. I don't see them as connected. I see them as almost like two separate avenues.
Thank you.
I think for the purpose of explaining in the pictures, you've got like it comes in the commentaries as well. Like I go beyond the sun and the moon and the stars and I arrive in the subtle region. But I'm not sure that's how it is. I think it's more that the soul travels in a different realm and the body travels in a different realm. And both are unlimited expanses. But of course, in Bhakti, we've viewed heaven above, haven't we? So I suppose when you're initially explaining to people, they're so locked into that way of thinking. Heaven is above, hell is below. And so Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar are above. And so we talk in this way that Shiv Baba is above and Brahma Baba is above. But they're like beyond time and space, right? We're talking in space, aren't we? Above us, as if, like, for example, I think I am the right way up, don't I, at the moment? But people in Australia, they're also the right way up. And I'm actually upside down for them, aren't I? So it's like time and space is all relative. It's not an actual thing. It's just a way that we understand things. So that's why I think in the pictures it will be depicted like that there's this world and that world and that one. Because without time and space, we don't know how to think. But actually, I think they're both unlimited worlds without time and space.
You know, I remember my father telling us as little children that we are operating on different frequencies. And so there are different worlds that
Right.
are between and betwixt us. But I remember him saying that.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what Shiv Baba did. I think even now we heard in the Murli that Baba was saying that now the task of establishment will happen from the subtle region in a more subtle way. So it's like you put it, the change of frequency, isn't it? And we've seen that when Brahma was down here in the corporeal, there were not so many Brahmins and not many centers, and so on. Actually, that change of frequency helped. It did the trick. So, and that will continue to occur as more Brahmins change frequency. So then that will push things along further.
And this advanced party is going fast. They will help them.
Okay, I think we've had so many interesting points today. So let's stop for today. Thank you very much to those of you who joined us live, both for the chit chat before the recording and also I think some really interesting questions and points in the recording. And also warm greetings to those of you watching the video later on. You can see that these Murlis have so much to them, don't they? And they really answer so many questions we might have about how Baba is operating, why Baba is doing it that way. So it's well worth rereading these. So thanks for giving us the opportunity to do that as well. Om Shanti, have a great week.
Yeah.
Om Shanti Baji.
Om
Thank
Shanti,
you.
Brother
Om
Shanti.
Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
હજી તો ઘણું પણ પછી